Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Chef Cordell of Eating Well with Chef Cordell Consulting. You can always find me online at chefcordell.com as well as eatbetternow.org. So today we're focusing on a very simple, easy to do, less than 30-minute meal that I think you're gonna like. It's very flavorful. You can do it right when you get off of work and you have dinner made. What we're gonna focus on is a citrus and garlic shrimp pasta. But before we get started, let's take a look at the equipment and preparation needed. For our citrus and garlic shrimp pasta, we're going to use about 8 ounces of pasta. I prefer to use a thinner pasta like an angel hair, fettuccine, or linguine, but any type of pasta that you want to use is fine. We're going to use about 2 tablespoons of some olive oil, a few tablespoons of butter, or 4 garlic cloves, which you want to have minced, about 1 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. We're going to use about 1.5 pounds of shrimp. I prefer wild caught. What I'm using is wild, like Argentine shrimp. I like that a little bit better. It has a slightly sweeter flavor, but you want to have them peeled, the vein, and the tail removed. About 2 cups of baby spinach, about a half a cup of parm if you would like, but you don't have to. About a tablespoon of lemon juice. You want to use 1 orange, and a little bit in salt and pepper to taste. So our first step was to, in a large pot, boil our pasta in our water with just a little bit of salt to kind of give it a little bit of flavor. And once that has gotten to a boil, you want to take that off and drain it. And I already have mine right here, so that is done. Now what you want to do, since we already have that done, you want to grab a pan and come over to your stove, and we're going to get this on a medium heat, okay? So now it's easier to work with this when the pasta is hot, but if it's not, that's okay. If you want to rinse it off a little bit to kind of re-engage it, that's perfectly fine if it's dry, but make sure that you get as much of that water off, as oil and water do not mix when you're looking to cook, okay? That oil would definitely pop at you, all right? So we're going to get this hot here. We'll give it another 15 seconds or so. Don't rush it. Now, whenever you're cooking, it's very important that you want to get your stove to the right temperature. So when it says to preheat, you want to make sure that it's at the right temperature before you add things to it, because if not, it'll throw off the texture and throw off the cooking time. Just like with your pan, when you're getting it to the right temperature, make sure it's at the temperature that you want it to be before you start to add the ingredients. You don't want it to be cold. All right, now that our pan is hot, I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of the butter. I'm also going to add my garlic and my red pepper flakes, okay? And we just want to cook this for about 30 seconds or so. We don't want the pan to be super duper hot as to burn the garlic, but we want it to have some heat to it, which we have here. So let this cook for about 30 seconds or so, and then we'll start to add some other ingredients, okay? We're going to add our shrimp next. Now, if you want to use clarified butter, which I like, or what's called ghee, but if you want to use clarified butter, that is even better. Clarified butter has a higher smoke point, which means it can hold heat very well, or it can heat rather at a higher temperature than regular butter. Regular butter starts to smoke and burn when it gets too hot, but clarified butter, since you've gotten out a lot of these solids and what have you, it can take higher temperatures. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my shrimp to this, and we're going to cook this for a couple of minutes, okay? I'm also going to season it with a little bit of salt and pepper here. Now, I'm only doing half of the recipe, so I've adjusted the ingredients that I gave you accordingly. So you're not going to see as many shrimp in the pan as you would do if you do the full recipe. I'm going to add a little bit of salt to this here. I generally use kosher salt or sea salt at Staples in my kitchen versus regular table salt. Regular table salt doesn't have a lot of trace minerals that your body needs to be able to function. Like salt is actually a very good thing for our bodies. Part of the problem is we eat too much salt. So for instance, we'll have salt as one ingredient, but then we'll add garlic salt to that, or we'll add celery salt to that, or some other type of thing where the most prevalent ingredient in it is salt. So I use salt, I like salt, but I try my best to not over salt things. But one way to do that is to get more so powder. So granulated garlic, like onion powder, garlic powder, those type of things have no salt in them, okay? So we'll let this cook here for about a minute longer. So just a couple minutes or so on each side. And then I'm going to turn these over. But most importantly is that you want them to be a little pink. Now that these have gone for a little over 2 minutes here, I'm going to turn them over and let them go for another couple minutes or so. And I'm going to make sure I lightly season this side as well. Just a little bit of salt and pepper, but you don't need too much. Just a little bit. So let these go for about 2 minutes or so, or until they are done, okay? Now that my shrimp is almost done, I'm going to add my spinach to this next. I prefer baby spinach. It's a lot easier to wilt. Well, not easier to wilt, rather, but in a recipe like this, when all the other ingredients are small, it works better to have baby spinach. So we're going to cook this until it's wilted here. And of course, that's starting to soak up all the flavor, the spinach, of what's already in here to this point with the garlic, the red chili pepper flakes. All right. I'm going to stir this a bit to make sure that that spinach gets heated as evenly as possible. And it wilts relatively quickly. Unlike kale, which you can saute and wilt, it just takes a little bit longer because it's a little bit tougher. Okay? All right, so we're at a good point now that we've added our spinach. And what we're going to do next is we're going to add our pasta to this. Okay? Mix that up a little bit. Now we've got that in there. We're also going to add the remaining butter and some Parmesan if you're using that, okay? Give it a little more flavor here. Once again, clarified butter works really well here, okay? Very well. I'm going to add some parm here. And we may top it with a little bit of parm too once it's done. I'm going to let this reheat here for a second. Get hot. Just want to make sure that we melt that butter so it can liquefy. All right. So now at this point that we've gotten the butter in and it's melted, we're going to grab a lemon and squirt some of that juice on there. Going to mix that up again, toss it around just a little bit. At this point, everything is cooked, so if you want to turn the heat down just a bit, that's perfectly fine. It's already hot, okay? So we got our lemon juice in there. Now we're going to grab a grater. This is a zester here. I'm going to take my orange, which I've washed off very well and dried, and we're going to just grate this. I'm going to grate some of this orange onto this pasta. So a zester, I like zesters. What they do is they give you the essence or the flavor of whatever you're zesting without necessarily the tartness or the sweetness. So, for instance, when I grate lemons and limes into dishes, you can definitely taste the flavor, but it's not nearly as tart as if you bit into one. So, all right. So we got it in there now. We're going to mix this up here. Now you want to taste this at this point because everything is done, just to kind of see where you are flavor-wise. And if you like it, then so be it. So let's come over here now to our dish here. And we're just going to plate this up and enjoy this very simple, easy to make, quick to make, delicious, flavorful citrus and garlic pasta. Didn't take very long to do. As I mentioned, you can do this right when you get off of work, and you'll be happy that you did. I think so. All right, so what I'm also going to do, just to make it look a little bit prettier, we're going to take a little bit of our orange zest here and just add that to the plate, okay? All right, and here we have our delicious, delicious citrus and garlic pasta. I hope you guys check this out, and I'll see you soon. Peace.